So petrolheadism life has taken me into very many corners of the automotive world, and one of them is now sourcing cars. And I've sourced cars for music videos, car wow, and films, and it just gets astonishing what things are asked for. We even sourced cars for Sounding Suite, where they record the sounds for computer games and movies, and they're looking for specific sounds that they'll ask me to say, right, we need this car for this movie, as it were. One of the best things I've ever sourced was a Bugatti Chiron for CarWow's famous race against a Formula One car. Not just any Formula One car, but Red Bull Racing's Vettel's winning Formula One car. And it was driven that day by David Coulthard. So we arranged a Bugatti Chiron to be on site. My friend Shaz from Scotland transported his car down to be part of this amazing day. The Bugatti Chiron versus the Formula One car was one of the best, most viewed videos on CarWow, and that was probably the first time that I got involved with sourcing cars for CarWow and their channel. Their channel's 7 million subscribers at the moment, and on a regular basis we get calls asking for setting up races. So I recently got a call from CarWow, and we go back and forth regularly now, and I've become the car sorcerer, as it were. They were looking for generations of the 911 to put up together this phenomenal 911 race, and from the 930 to the 992 Turbo. And I have friends in all kinds of places. I get a call, do you know anybody with an SLR? And literally my mind goes, 3 SLRs, and this person would probably do it, this person won't do it. And that's how I go through the process. So CarWow will send me a list of the races when they've booked the secret runway, and I'll look at the list of cars and source the cars through the owners, through the real life contacts I have. One of the things through petrol hedonism is that I've been hosting car shows for so very long that I actually know the cars by the number plates, and I know the owners, probably have their number in my phone. And it's been 16 years in the making, and coming out of COVID, I didn't realize what a backlog catalogue I have of owners who may have even swapped cars into something new, and I have that information as well. So with CarWow, we set up the 911 race, and seeing these cars on the runway was absolutely phenomenal. And while we were on site, we talked about other generations, and that's when the idea was born to get the Aventador race. From all of them coupes, from the original Aventador coupe to the Aventador SV to the S to the SVJ, and of course the Ultimate. Now, the Ultimate's only just started landing in the UK, and when we first got these cars together, we had them lined up on the runway, and Matt Watson, who's the presenter on CarWow, we were ready to race. That moment happened where he turned to me and said, just doesn't feel right without the Ultimate. If we're going to do this race, if it's going to have the views, if it's going to have the impact on YouTube, it needs to have the Ultimate there. So we spoke to the owners, we did a group review of the cars, and then we talked about setting up the race with the Ultimate. So for 2 weeks between that race, that setup, and the main race, we spoke to 4 or 5 different Ultimate owners and finally found Alazar, who had his Ultimate in Verde Hermes, very, very special £20,000 option, but it hadn't been PPF'd. So with 3 days to go, we sent it in for PPF. He had his car PPF, transported back to his house. We then transported the car to the secret military base where CarWow film. And on the morning of filming, the Verde Hermes Ultimate arrived, and we had the whole lineup of cars. Now, for me, this was a very, very special moment for various reasons, because Viola Ophelia, my own Aventador Roadster, has the Huber Era 001 body kit on it, and that is an ode to the 10-year era of Aventadors. And it's Sean's personal vision of how he feels the 5 come together to create the era. So we took mine along as well for some photos, and that was just for me as a personal thank you to CarWow for being able to put this together. But when those cars lined up on the runway in that order with the Ultimate, the SV, the SVJ. Mark McCann, my friend, drives the SVJ, and he's an absolute nutter. He is very well known on his YouTube channel, Mark McCann, where he literally comes along to these CarWow events and does donuts in his SVJ or his STO. Yeah, previous to that one, we'd done 202 miles an hour in his Aventador SVJ, which was a phenomenal personal experience for me. And at the end of that, he rinsed his tyres by doing donuts to celebrate the fact we'd done 202 miles an hour. But on this day, he was racing up against Matt Watson and Yanni from Yanamize and Sam, the racing driver, in this phenomenal lineup of 5 generations of the Aventador. And then disaster struck. The Ultimate could not be put in launch mode. It only had 112 miles on the clock. And Yanni spoke to Lamborghini, and Lamborghini said, this car logs everything. If you put that car in launch or try to brake boost it or anything, it will log it. It could even invalidate the warranty. And if the owner has any intentions to sell it sooner rather than later, it could be a problem. It could invalidate the warranty. And it was a great moment for me because when I source cars for CarWow, some owners watch the videos where they get drag raced and feel that they're not respected. But it was a great moment where Matt turned to me and said, we can't run this race. I can't run this car. I can't do it to this car. If the owner's willing to bring it back when it's done over 1,000 miles, we will run the race again. But I can't and personally don't want to put the car for this, and showed a lot of respect for what the production, Matt himself as presenter, has for the cars that we take onto the show. So the race then ran with the SV, the S, the SVJ, and the Coupe. Yanni was in the SV, and that was one of my sponsors, Carduzio, PPF and Wrap, that had that vehicle on display there. They'd only had that car about a month and were really excited about having their car on the channel. The race ran, and you're going to have to go see the race on the channel because it was a photo finish literally on all 3 races that ran. So car sourcing has taken me to great places. The Viola Ophelia itself has been in a music video with D Block Europe. That's had over 5 million views. And we've done videos with Hardy Caprio and other British rap artists. So it's such a great thing to have where people know that I have the contacts and have built up the contacts to source cars for different things. It's phenomenal. So for me, our own Petrol Hedonism YouTube channel is quite a fledgling channel. We started about a year ago, and we've got various videos for different things that we do with petrol hedonism, whether it's events. But one of the things we do is the behind the scenes of the filming of the CarWow movies, I call them, because honestly, the production behind these are fantastic. And it was such a proud moment for me to have had the input with the Bugatti Chiron against the Formula One race car to be a #1 YouTube trending movie for about 24 hours. And that's why that became one of the best CarWow videos ever. Now, I realized about 2015 that I needed to start up my Instagram. I needed to start getting into social media. But what has always been really important to me is the real life connections and relationships that I have. My events have always been for people to come along and network, which you see people meet each other, put a face to the name, or having spoken on social media, they get to meet each other, see each other's cars. But for me, it's always been a personal relationship. I used to greet and still try to greet every car show member that comes in with their car as they enter the event. I try to be that person that greets them, welcomes them, and shows them which way to park. And that for me has always been a winning point of my relationship building. And first and foremost, I think it's been an amazing network experience coming out of COVID. When I first got the call for a music video, which was for Hardy Caprio, he asked for about 15 cars, gave me some examples of cars, but within 20 minutes, I'd sourced all the cars because I knew coming out of COVID, everybody was raring to go, get out and do something special. So there we were, 24 hours later, in the middle of a disused runway, filming a music video. Unfortunately, that one never made it to screen. It was never released because the producer and the artist had a disagreement, but it just opened things up. And my friend Sam Hard was the guy that put me in contact with these people for the first time, and it's just grown from there. CarWow sourcing is probably the top dog, as it were, because of its prolific every 2 weeks filming, whether it's reviews. We also found pickup trucks for a tug of war. And so it's really exciting how it diversifies what I do from the events, from the marketing, from the social media, and also gets me so many more new experiences. Taking Scoot along for the behind the scenes of filming at the runway is one of the pinnacles of my week.
Premier Financial Services makes it easier and more affordable than you could possibly imagine to own your dream car. Their Simple Lease is one of the most powerful tools in the world of exotic car financing. You get all the benefits like the tax savings and the low payments of a lease with all the additional benefits that you normally find in a traditional finance arrangement. You can build up equity, you can pay it off early, you can trade in and out of cars because you get a very clear and easy to understand amortization table to understand what your payoff will be any month throughout your term. And all the while, the amazing team from Premier Financial Services will will be right there to help you along the way. They've been supporters of the VINwiki channel now for 5 years in a row, so we can't thank them enough for that, but mostly we're thankful for the fact that they can help you make it easier than ever to own your dream car. Check them out now.